Ladies and gentlemen, we are so back. It's my pleasure to welcome you back first after 3 whole months. Today's video is Karen and the recent events that have been unfolding. So, enough yapping, roll the banging theory. Starting at the 17th of August 2024, our first build-up debut on SMG4's channel, We Must Kill Mario. Within this video, we get the starting point of it all, Hitman Inc. We are currently 4 episodes into this build-up of the Karen arc at the time of writing this, and there isn't much that we know about Hitman Inc. We know it's a secret agency corporation that Karen was previously assigned to and was given the opportunity in exchange of being able to manage her life better, as we see in the 4th installment to the build-up. Sadly, this is pretty much all we know for Hitman Inc. and the additional fact that they are trying to constantly get back in contact with Karen despite her wanting to leave that life in the past and forget it ever existed. A summary of We Must Kill Mario's plot is the return of Marty after being jailed since WhatFeed 2023. The video starts off cheerful until Karen receives the Hitman Inc.'s phone call. Karen is startled and shocked that they managed to find her. The corporation proceeds by asking for a job to be done. Karen refuses at first as she has her current life, being a mother to her 3 children, Zach, Corey and Katie. The corporation ignores her denial and requests that this job is personal. The caller explains that there has recently been a suspicious increase of poisoning around the Mushroom Kingdom. Karen still refuses until the hitman brings up that lives could be lost, including children's lives, which generates an image in Karen's mind of her kids dead, which forces her to take the job to prevent this scene from happening. Karen originally believed that the suspect was Mario, as from what the caller from Hitman Inc. had proclaimed in the description, all fingers pointed towards Mario. However, as a plot twist, the suspect turned out to be Marty, wanting to get payback for being ditched at the prison alone. Marty fails in the end and then escapes. Now, one big question I ask on this episode here is, why did Marty appear at Karen's place out of all places to be at, and how did Marty expect Mario to arrive there? My answer to this is an assumption because this was before Puzzles was put in confinement. So my best bet is that because Puzzles hated Mario so much for ruining his potential every time he was close to gaining power, and the fact that Mario betrayed Marty and left him alone by himself in jail, forgetting him over a bowl of spaghetti, the villains secretly teamed up behind the scenes. We know that Puzzles says in Mario Loses His Mustache that Puzzles was observing Mario for some time prior to the episode, so Puzzles could have potentially let some info in on Mario's whereabouts to Marty. Now, that's just speculation, none of this is written down. Anyways, now we move on to the next episode. 14 episodes later, on the 30th of November 2024, we receive the continuation of the build-up towards Karen's arc. Mario teaches parenting. On this video, we see Karen working her job endlessly, being drained. She comes back to the children misbehaving to the point it drives the babysitter trying to look after them, Shroomy, to quit and run away. You can see now where the video is going and why the title is named Mario Teaches Parenting. The video itself has no obvious lore to see on the surface. To the average viewer, you probably just see a mother and her children fight endlessly with a random Mario managing to relate to the femur of the children, ultimately gathering the family back together. Wrong! As Karen cleans the house, a photo is dropped. The frame shatters and leaves the photo torn into 2 pieces. Karen on one piece of the photo and the children within the other piece of the photo, showing a sign of disconnect. We already know just from these 2 episodes alone, and what they tell is that Karen deeply loves and cares for her children and will make sure nothing gets in the way that harms them. We do, however, get another scene of the family reuniting together, and that being developed into a new picture placed within a frame showing that things have repaired, and that's pretty much it for Mario Teaches Parenting. I feel that the new photo that Karen and her children take in this episode could be an anchor later in time, with the photo being dropped again due to panic and possibly an unwanted visitor appearing at the house at some point down the line within this arc. So far, we have information that Karen used to work with Hitman Inc. Hitman Inc. want to drag Karen back into the life she wants to forget because she loves her children in this new life that she has created. What's next? Glad you asked. Speeding up 7 episodes later on the 8th of February 2025, we get the fight of all time. This episode creates a turf war in a kid's playground with Karen and her kids against Big, SMG4 and Swag. The episode looks innocent with Swag stepping too far, like usual, and their playground becoming unsafe. However, we have 2 very important parts to examine and take out from the video. We see that Hitman Inc. is continuing to try and contact Karen. She refuses, saying she is out from this and doesn't want to be doing this dirty laundry, which is basically secretive private jobs. The other part, the exciting part that got me jumping around. What was that dumbass thinking? Being so reckless and chaotic. Just like their idiot father. After looking at her own children. This was one massive lore drop for one line of text, but oh, it opens the Karen story so much more, theorists. We get from this video that Karen at some point within her life had a partner that from Karen's own words is described as reckless and chaotic. One line of speech and it opens so many questions that need answering. Where did they meet? Within Hitman Inc? Why is the father reckless and chaotic? And most importantly, who is the father? None of this is still answered at the time of writing this, so throw who you think the father is in the comments, whenever that is to be an unknown person that hasn't been discovered yet, or someone we might already know. Now moving on to the final episode within this build up that we currently have as Karen's arc, Hobo Mario. One of the bigger episodes as it climbs up with more story having the most information to explain, and probably the reason why you guys are all here. This video is about Karen's financial problems, job failures, and falling into debt. 10 grand in debt to be precise. Because of this, she receives a foreclosure notice with her being evicted. Karen tries her best to ignore the problem and keep the kids entertained and happy by not revealing they don't have their house anymore. Karen ends up bumping into Mario at the homeless shelter because he filled his house and the castle with cheese-infested monsters. Mario finds out that Karen and the kids are homeless and proceeds to help by giving them a box. Yep. Karen tries to keep her kids entertained by saying that they are staying at a resort, which is why the box is so small. Within this little montage, we get to the extravagant shopping mall. Mario dive bombs this place to find stuff when all of a sudden what seems to be a transceiver falling into the ground behind Mario grabs his attention. Now whilst watching this with No and the crew, we noticed that it seemed as if the transceiver was actually planted to purposefully grab Mario's attention. After the montage with the hotel room being ultimately destroyed to rain, the kids start to slowly realize what's happening whilst Karen desperately fights the odds of reality for them. When Karen comes to realize the setting sun of what's actually happened, we get a flashback of kid Karen alone and homeless eating scraps. We then get a skip of time to possibly teenager Karen or young adult Karen, and she is still homeless with grungy clothes and hair. Then, big lore drop again. Karen being at her lowest and a shadow appears. Karen looks up and boom! It's the Hitman Inc. shadow figure that we have seen appear in the episode We Must Kill Mario. Okay, maybe not the same guy, but it's one of the members of the Hitman Inc. and he's holding out a gun and cash. Of course Karen's going to take the offer. She has no place to go and has been homeless her entire life up to that point. Karen starts to tear up and break down, which is something that is rarely ever shown within Karen's character. So the kids try to cheer her up by being positive. This motivates Karen to give her kids the best that she can provide in whatever situation, so she grabs a ton of boxes and with Mario's help creates a cardboard box house. This keeps the kids happy for a bit and distracted until Katie wants to go back home. Karen realizes she finally has to announce to the kids that they don't have a home to go back to anymore. The kids start to break down and become upset, which further upsets Karen. You know what? Instead of me talking about this, let me just show the scene as Elsie Lovelock voiced Karen so perfectly in the scene.
I didn't want you to be like how I was growing up. I wanted to see you happy and smiling. I wanted to be there, like the mom I never had. And I couldn't even do that, right? I'm so sorry.
Karen was trying her best to make sure her kids got the best life they possibly can have, and to not be like Karen's life, in which we find out that Karen's mother was never there for her and possibly threw her away, which is why and how Karen ended up on the streets as a kid. Karen wanted to be there for her children and to support them so that they never got what Karen had to go through. This amazing performance makes the kids feel warm, and they cuddle up to Karen with Casey saying it doesn't matter where we go, as long as we're together. Now hold that thought. Big connection maybe? As long as we're together. Mixed in with the new photo that was taken in Mary Teacher's parenting being dropped and torn, with the hint leading towards Karen and her children being separated from each other. Now, okay, sorry. Got ahead of myself. We haven't even got to the cliffhanger yet. That's right. Yeah. All the previous episodes, they had no cliffhanger. Just sprinkles of lore dipped in. This video has a cliffhanger. What's that cliffhanger? Let me play it for you.
Well, kiddos, we're going home.
Hello there.
Eccolo tutto, saprete.
So Karen ends up getting her house back in the end, which is great, awesome. However, that item that Mary picked up earlier, the transceiver, it automatically turns on, which sparks Mario's curiosity. Mario answers to the walkie-talkie, and it speaks some magical code that corrupts Mario's mind, ultimately taking over Mario's body. The cliffhanger words? Mission accepted. Also known as potato. What am I doing with my life? Bam! 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 Hitman Incorporated turning out to be on the dark side of the group. If Karen won't comply, will Mario kidnap Karen's kids and force Karen to comply and join back to the Hitman Inc? Oh, that wasn't rhetorical? I meant to answer that? Let's run our list. We know Karen worked for a company called Hitman Inc. During her lowest, it gave her enough to keep her going to secure a place and to freshen up. This is where she gets all her combat from, and why she is highly skilled in this area of expertise. Later, most likely within Hitman Inc., she meets a man and they both fall in love. Then one day the man possibly dies due to being so reckless and chaotic, causing lots of destruction. This leaves Karen with 3 children to raise by herself, so she cuts ties with the Hitman Inc. to ensure that she can keep her children safe and loved by making sure to be there for him. And now this corporation is trying to get back in contact with Karen, in which she refuses. The corporation mentions in We Must Kill Mario that children's lives could be at stake of dying to grab Karen's attention, specifically to manipulate Karen into taking the job. Hitman Inc. then takes another attempt in the fight of all time, and she most likely declines it. Now, because she refused, this corporation probably planted the receiver to purposefully grab Mario's attention, because Mario has a close bond with Karen's children. And because this transceiver is tampered with something that can control a person's mind to go after something, the corporation will send Mario in to complete the mission he was given, separating Karen from her children, which causes the house to become a mess, shelves to fall, and the picture that I mentioned earlier that was created in Mary Teacher's Parenting to be on the floor, shattered, with the photo torn between Karen and her children. And Karen, after this, working for Hitman Inc. unwillingly to make sure that the children are not harmed in any way from the threats that the Hitman Inc. will set. Now all of that speculation, they can either go this way perfectly, or it can go an entire separate way, making this summary and theory conclusion absolutely wrong. But damn, I have no idea for what comes this Saturday. It could be a filler episode, though No and me nearly had a war of the theorists about it, so No thinks the arc starts now and that this Saturday will continue it. I think that there will be a snippet of Mario in the upcoming episode, but it won't be heavily tied with the previous episode. Only a small snippet and then the end part to continue onto the main story, which then, after that, will be a weekly episode build-up. Hey guys, this is Editor Roma here. So, all of this video has come out, right? And what I just said about there possibly being a further episode this week coming, we got a community post, which I'll put on the screen right now, of Mario and the walkie-talkie. With the context, hey Mario, buddy, pal, let's be friends, huh? So, yeah, I feel like No is probably right in this situation, but yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have any other ideas, please, for the love of God, write them in the comments below. I will answer to every single one of them. And please subscribe as we try and hit 25k subscribers by the end of the year. See you guys next time.